Here we go now.
What's going You can tell I'm not in my studio. Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. This is our weekly recap of the Real Housewives of Miami. I don't know if I'm going to recap Real Housewives of Orange County this week. I have not even watched it. I've rewatched Real Housewives of Miami's part 2 of the reunion 3 times, twice yesterday, once today. And you know, yesterday we were not even able to recap it because all eyes were on Wendy Asefo and Eddie Asefo. I've given you multiple updates, 2 lives yesterday and a new video earlier today, a year-old interview where Wendy is talking about the burglary. It's pretty interesting to watch. So if you missed that video, mods, if we can drop it in the live chat, and for replay crew, I'll put it in the description, or you can just head on over to our YouTube page and you can see it there. DB says, pen when. Well, can we first talk about that? Look, it's one thing for us to joke and talk about this stuff. And I think we've joked about it very lightly. And I have to remind you, these are just allegations. They will have their day in court. They have since released a statement saying that, and they're asking for privacy right now. What I find to be interesting, I've heard a lot of stuff. I haven't revealed everything that I've heard, but I did reveal to you guys that I heard yesterday that they were picking up cameras today. Well, apparently they picked up cameras last night at Ashley Darby's live singing event. Okay. Well, from what I was hearing, some of the reactions from the ladies, you probably would not be surprised, okay? But what we're seeing, I feel like these people never liked Wendy, but I think we already knew that. We know that the reconciliation between Giselle and Wendy is because Bravo basically said to Giselle, we don't need any of this drama between you and Wendy going on, or you're not going to get a new contract. I told you guys that a while back. My sources confirmed that yet again yesterday. The whole situation between Giselle and Wendy, that is a farce for television. I think we already knew that. I don't think you have to be psychic or know anybody to know that, right? Right. So everyone's reaction behind the scenes, I'm sure you probably can predict what those reactions are, okay? Maybe at a later date. Club Kempire, maybe I'll drop that on the Apple Podcast paid subscription. More tea, a lot of tea. But there's a lot of tea that I have not talked about when it comes to Dr. Wendy Asefo and what people have been saying for like the last year. And I know for those of you that are here are like, wait, are we talking about Dr. Wendy or are we talking about Real Housewives of Miami? We'll get to Miami in a second because a lot of you have been sharing your thoughts, and it just made me think of what we've been seeing on social media. So last night, Ashley held a singing event and took that moment to shade Wendy. We'll get to that in a second. But this week's episode, tomorrow's episode of Real Housewives of Potomac, you're going to meet Karen's best friend, okay, who's going to be on the show. So apparently, shout out to our friends over at OMFG Reality TV on X, because they write this: Karen's friend Cookie with a comment under NECA's recent Instagram post. Because word on the street, the reason why NECA did not return was because of Dr. Wendy and the drama that happened between Dr. Wendy and NECA. That is the word on the street. That's why NECA wasn't asked to return. It could also be, NECA, the fact that you weren't that interesting. Besides the whole Wendy of it all, there wasn't anything so magical about NECA that made me go, oh my God, bring her back. A lot of you say that because you just feel like you can say that. There wasn't really anything redeeming. Would I mind if she came back and we gave her a second chance? Why not? But come on. But anyway, so Karen Huger's friend, the woman that got a 4th DUI and went to jail for six months out of the year she was supposed to serve. MC says NECA can stay gone. Agreed. DB says NECA was boring. All the Wendy stuff aside, NECA was not that interesting. But okay. So Cookie, Karen's friend, under NECA's post says, and all her jewelry is accounted for. My NECA boo. Was that necessary? Because let's be honest, no matter how any of us feel about Dr. Wendy and these allegations, again, allegations, no matter how we feel about Dr. Wendy, one thing I will say, Dr. Wendy did not kick Karen Huger when she was down bad. She did not. She actually was probably one of the most supportive during the last season with Karen. I just find it interesting everyone's kicking Wendy while she's down. And look, I already told you when we did the Brooke Ashley video, I already told you people have been telling me stuff about Dr. Wendy behind the scenes not being the most nice person, whatever. However, although I've heard those things, I'm giving her grace. I'm not going to kick her while she's down. But these are people that okay, let's not even call them friends. These are your colleagues. These are your colleagues. And they're already jumped. But I already told you never to trust Ashley. I told you this too, Stacey. You see another example? I just said this. You see another example, Stacey? Don't trust Ashley. So that was Cookie. This is what Ashley said, because apparently the group came together last night. Kiana was there. Giselle was there. Kiana's loving this because, you know, the edit right now is making Kiana look like she's reaching to have an issue with Wendy. She's loving this right now. All right. So let me just play for you what went down last night on the mic. This is what Ashley said on the mic last night in regards to Wendy. Hold on. Let me bring this up. Hold on. Where's my clip? There we go.
Felonies, if you know what I mean. I'm just not there. In case there was some confusion, that's what we're doing around here. Okay? That's it. That's what we're doing. Just making melodies. All right.
Hold on. She said making melodies and not felonies. Girl, you can't even find the note. How are you making a melody? How are you making a melody? You can't even find a note. We're not going to sit here and pretend or forget that you can't sing. We're here making melodies, not felonies. You can't make a melody when you can't sing. Okay, your melodies sound like this.
Felonies, if you know what I mean. I'm just not there. In case there was some confusion, that's what we're doing around here. Okay? That's it. That's what we're doing. Just making melodies. All right. That was just a thought.
What exactly did Dr. Wendy SFO? Yes, they had a little bit of a run-in during the last reunion, but it seemed like for the most part, everything was okay between Wendy and Ashley. And look, I understand things happen behind the scenes. I've said already about Wendy, but was this necessary? Was this necessary? Because look, we know she's desperate to keep her job. over there. So word on the street, Giselle and Ashley have been working overtime this season. Hence why we see the behavior that we're seeing in the season premiere. But was that really necessary? Now you got a catchphrase, I'm making melodies, not felonies. Again, girl, you can't sing. We haven't forgotten that part. You can't sing. And word on the street, y'all did not know anything in regards to Wendy and this alleged crime. Look, people have speculated, but don't sit here and act like you knew all along, because that's not what I've heard. Look, that's not what I've heard. But people did speculate after the robbery. You know, we all talked about that. But I just found it to be interesting. But she wasn't done, because even on social media, she posted, let me bring up this. She posted this on social media. Hold on. Let me see if I can bring up the photo. Actually, let me just upload it here. That'd probably be easier, right? Let me upload it here. There we go. So she posted this on Instagram. Catching melodies, not felonies. And you see a picture with everyone that attended, I guess her group that attended her quote singing event. Catching melodies, not felonies. Do you guys think that Dr. Wendy Assefa is going to actually show up to the reunion? I don't know. I don't know if she's going to show up to the reunion. I kind of want her to show up to the reunion, but at the same time, she's going to be in the middle of all of this, fighting this. It might not be in her best interest to show up to the reunion, because anything that she says will be used against her. Exactly. Thank you, Kendra, for the super chat. Kendra says Ashley was mute when her ex-husband was being investigated for groping people. That was caught on video. It's like they instantly forgot. Tyler, thank you so much for the super chat. Tyler says the streets are keeping you busy. I know, Tyler, they are. They are. But we're going to get to the Real Housewives of Miami. I did want to talk briefly about that. If you missed any of our coverage when it comes to Dr. Wendy Assefa and Eddie Assefo's charges, we had 2 separate lives yesterday, and I've added timestamps to make it easier for the replay crew. So if you missed any of that, you have 2 videos from yesterday, and then I posted a video today with a pretty damning interview where Wendy talks about the burglary to Gibson, Gabbing with Gib podcast. It's quite telling. So be sure to check that out if you haven't checked it out. We posted that earlier today. But I do want to get to the Real Housewives of Miami part 2 of their season 7 reunion. If you guys had to rate it from 1 to 10, how would you rate it? For those that are watching on Twitch, X, and on Facebook, you can write it in the chat. YouTube, you have the option to vote in our live chat poll. This has been a really good season for Real Housewives of Miami. And honestly, Stephanie should not be sitting next to Andy. I think the only reason why I've come to the conclusion, I said this before, I come to the conclusion she sat there because they wanted to have Alexia sit next to Andy, because Andy knows it's such a big deal for Alexia to sit next to Andy. They've talked about this before. So it's sort of like a pity seating for Stephanie. They wanted to have everyone that has issues with each other to sit across from each other. So that's the only ZB says Stephanie who. Honestly, I could skip over everything Stephanie in this episode. The beginning of the episode was the juiciest part. The ending was sort of like, I guess we have to talk about this stuff because it did happen during the season. And you notice how they gave Kiki a segment. So they're giving the friend of segments. Miami is setting a new standard when it comes to Real Housewives and what a friend of is. Speaking of Kiki, you are such a lapdog. I'm sorry, I have to say it. I'm never one to say any of these housewives are lapdogs unless you start barking like Shamia. But you are such a lapdog. And the more I watch this season play out, I'm convinced why you're doing it. Now you're dating one of Marisol's friends. Oh, you're such a lapdog. You're trying to clear up. I just want to emphasize, mind you, it came out of left field. I just want to clear up that this group isn't racist. Classist maybe, but none of us are racist. Kiki, as a Black woman, you can't be racist. Let me just let you know about that. Racism it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Now, these white women, yes, they could be racist. And look, are they racist? Look, I'm not around them. We're watching an edited show. But even Gertie agreed that she doesn't believe that the group is racist. I believe she said it before. Okay. Incognito says Kiki's afraid to be canceled, but I knew that when I seen her daughter. Oh. Um, Miss Whistledown says that part was so misplaced and quick. We'll get back to it. We'll get back to it. Let me start from the beginning because the beginning is where they ended part one. And that was Julia revealing that I really don't want to start with that because I feel like that's the juiciest part. So can I start backwards? Can I start backwards? Because that's the juiciest part of the reunion. Rewatching it, I'm like, I don't care about what happens at the end. The juiciest parts happen at the beginning. The last few segment parts were stupid. Like the random questions about like, who would you have a threesome with? Blah, 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 blah. Who cares? I didn't care about those segments. Let me see what you guys say. We can start from the bottom. Can we start from the, yeah, start backwards. Yeah, start backwards. Right? We should start backwards. Mary Jane's baby says, I still don't understand why Kiki unfollowed Gertie. Well, again, we're watching an edited version of the reunion. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that played out in the reunion that we didn't get to see. I think Kiki decided to go on that media tour after the reunion because it did not end well for her. But the edit, it's so clear production was on the side of the ladies on the right. On the right. But anyway, it was very clear. The edit was so on their side. They were bringing up never before seen footage to prove people's point. Andy Cohen is sitting there throwing a question at Marisol to emphasize how Adriana might be wrong. We'll get to that. We will get to that. So let me start backwards. And apologies for those that didn't watch the episode. You realize, well, I'm going over the least important stuff, and then we can end with the good stuff, like the Haitian mortician. Did they ever say that if the Haitian mortician was a man or a woman? Because I think automatically I thought black man because you know what Larsa said about Julia a couple of seasons ago. So I was sort of like, I automatically thought a black man, but it could be a woman. You know, it could be Phaedra. It could be Phaedra. All right, let's start backwards. So at the end of part two, Larsa and Lisa have their conversation about her not unfollowing Marcus on IG. And Lisa claims that a bunch of her other friends never unfollowed him. It took them, they didn't unfollow him for a year. But we also know that Larsa wants to have a storyline. What else was her storyline? At the top of the season, she was talking about moving my house. You know, oh, I'm going to be a stage mom. I'm going to bring my son to Milan because he's modeling. She had nothing else going on. The rest of the season was about Lisa and Larsa's beef and her not unfollowing Marcus. I agree with Adriana. She should have just unfollowed him. Then you take away her power. You take away her storyline. Like, okay, I unfollowed him. So what are you mad about now? Then you saw Larsa drag it out. And you know I gave Larsa grace at the beginning of the season. I really try to give her grace, saying that, you know, she really did show up for Lisa when she was going through her divorce. But as the season went on, it was like, okay, Larsa, now you're reaching. Now you are reaching. So then here's my problem though, Lisa. When you were asked by Andy, what exactly does the world know about Larsa? Clearly you wanted to say a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know exactly what she wanted to say. You could have said a bunch of stuff, that she's a gold digger, that she was a Kardashian lackey. There's so much you could have said, but the fact that you didn't say it, this is you. Lisa, you have to show up at the reunion too. So maybe you didn't want to say it because you knew you wouldn't be able to get back from that. And then you guys would probably be no longer friends. But where was the energy that you had on social media when all this was playing out on the show? You remember she kept on going on social media, doing videos like, oh, we've never been friends and da-da-da-da. Is that going to come back up? Because I'm not understanding. But Lisa, I feel like the left side of the couch is faltering. The only one that's not faltering is Adriana. Adriana should have sat right next to Andy Cohen. This is Adriana's show. Look, we were like, they're not showing enough of Adriana. They started showing a lot of Adriana at the end, and now she's carrying the reunion. This is Adriana's show. She doesn't have a storyline personally, but this is a reminder. You don't have to have a storyline if you're an interesting person. Adriana is an interesting person. She's an interesting character. Yes, some of her theatrics are, well, she's also an artist. She's also an artiste. She's a creative. So I'm going to give her grace that this is why she has these antics. Okay. So Lisa, well, Stephanie ends up asking, Lisa says, well, if you ask ChatGPT, or did you ask ChatGPT about Larsa? So Stephanie asked ChatGPT about Larsa. So she reads through the perspective, and Larsa's like, that sounds about right. I'll take it. All right. Larsa says that Lisa wouldn't pick up the phone when she needed her. She said, that was a very dark time for her. Her whole family was affected by the whole breakup with Marcus. Marcus is like 6 months sober, apparently. I saw that headline while I was away. Okay. So she said that when she would reach out to Lisa, Lisa wouldn't pick up. All the ladies have said that about Lisa, though. You notice that Lisa didn't argue that point. So she said, when I would call you, you wouldn't pick up. Then at the end of their segment, I'm sure they'll start this, they will talk more about this next week. Larsa is addressing her telling Lisa that she shouldn't be in Milan. She should be with her dying father. So that's how they end part 2. For those that are just joining us, we're starting with the end and we're going to move backwards because we want to really focus on the juicy parts of the Real Housewives of Miami season 7 reunion part 2. Part 2. Okay. Stephanie versus Alexia and their storyline. So Stephanie and the other ladies apparently are now besties. So Stephanie is in a good place with Marisol, Alexia, and of course, Larsa. So she says, well, now we're in a good place, but we had to get there. So Stephanie says that she heard a lot of crap about Todd. So that's why she came in with the opinion that she had of Todd. According to Alexia, you never even came in and said hello. They show the clip and she does say hello. Okay. And Stephanie explains that, well, the reason why I came in the way that I came in was because at that meeting that I had with the ladies, they were telling me all these negative things about Todd. Adriana felt that Alexia was threatened by Stephanie because, she has the money, the house, the cars, all of that. Alexia gets defensive and she was like, Adriana, new storyline, new plot. You do this every year. I agree with Adriana. I do agree. And the other ladies said that they agreed too. Like, yeah, we do. Gertie confirmed. They felt like you were intimidated by Stephanie. I could see that. A new housewife is coming in and she's the richest one. She's got this, that, and whatever. She's married. She's not going through marriage troubles. I can see where you might feel a little threatened. But Alexia screams at Adriana, it's like, new plot, new plot, babe. So Stephanie does admit that Adriana was her biggest hesitation. But she says the reason why she thought that was because of what the group were telling her about Adriana. No, that's the only downside of this. And you can't have another season with Adriana on her own. That's why it worked with Julia being her friend. But Julia wanted to secure her spot. Julia is a social climber. She's a narcissist. She's loyal to no one. So she left Adriana out there. But next season's not going to work if everyone hates Adriana. But I don't want to see Adriana go. So I don't know who you got to bring on to fix this scenario. What I do kind of like about Stephanie, because Stephanie also said everyone, made me very hesitant about Adriana, and also the clips that she saw about Adriana from the show. She was like, I don't know about this one. But she says that Adriana has been the nicest one to her in this group. She says Adriana has been the nicest one to her in this group. So there is Stephanie that, and I don't think the Stephanie and Alexia and Marisol relationship is going to stay intact. I don't think so. What I can appreciate, though, and they said that they agreed to do this, was not to go on social media and rehash all their drama. They say they don't hang out all the time, but they do text a lot off of the show. And she was just like, we were glad that we didn't do that. And Andy was just like, I kind of wish that Gertie and Julia didn't do that. Andy, you love it when these housewives go on social media. It's like promotion for the show. And but I will say this, Gertie, I wish you like I understood some of the posts that Gertie posted to emphasize her point, to prove her point. But then part of me is like Gertie, the edit alone is has the audience on your side. You don't need to even say much. You don't need even to say much. The time for you to say something is at the reunion, and the edit is making it seem like you're not saying much. It shoots very quiet in part two. Very quiet. But anyway, so Stephanie, when asked about her constantly talking about her private jet, says that, I used to love show and tell. So I feel like life is like show and tell. As I've grown up, I still love show and tell. And she's used to sharing all of her accomplishments with her friends, and her friends in being supportive of her. But she's learned as an adult, not everyone is supportive of you when good things happen to you. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I get that last part, but the whole show and tell analogy, I was like, oh my God, she's so insufferable. Honestly, I'll say this. If Stephanie did not come back, I would be okay. There was nothing about Stephanie this season that made me go like, I like her. Well, no, let me take that back. I like that she seems to have her own mind. But part of me is sort of like, does she have her own mind? She seems to have her own mind sometimes, but then sometimes she falls in line, which I do feel like she's falling in line, especially because she's so friendly with Larsa. But again, if she didn't come back, I wouldn't miss her. Look, I wouldn't miss her. Casey says that Stephanie's response was ridiculous. Okay, so I wasn't the only one, right? MC says that Miami loves an analogy. Do they know what the definition is? Love my kids. Thank you so much for the super chat. Love my kids says I have never gotten over Julia throwing the water. Had it been the other way around, it would have been handled differently. Julia has issues for sure, especially because wasn't the first time that she's been physical with a cast member. This is not the first time that she's been physical with a cast member. Pageant Mommy says Stephanie is boring. His Bookie Bear says that agreed, Kempire. I wouldn't miss her. I'm okay if she comes back next season, but I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I miss Stephanie. What I can appreciate, though, like I said, is the fact that Stephanie seems to have her own mind. We shall see. Foxy says that now Julia got it. Now Julia got a temper. Let me see. DB says Julia has aggressive tendencies. Very much so. You saw that clip where Gertie says to her, because Gertie and Julia got into it at that big finale event. They didn't, that wasn't included in the season, but you see they have a little bit of a tiff, and Gertie is sort of like, I know that there's a bunch of glasses with drinks here, I forget what she said exactly, but basically sort of like, don't be tempted to throw anything at her. N-Dub says that Julia 100% has a temper. Q Potatoes watching on Twitch says, I think that Stephanie is trying too hard to fit in. Like, girl, just be who you are and shine. We see this from housewives all the time. But I think that's always been her thing. I think she was always the oddball out. So in life, that's why she leads with her things. And Andy says, well, you are on a show where we like showing off your things. So he does come to her defense in that regard. All right. Kiki randomly, because as they were talking about Stephanie talking about showing off her stuff and things like that, and I guess this goes to the classes part of what she's talking about. But she's like, I just want to clear something up because they're receiving backlash. That's what's gotten to Kiki. She's gotten to backlash. She's so used to the last 3 seasons where, no one was mad at her. But now she's gotten a lot of backlash this season. But she's like, I just want to clear something up that this group isn't racist. And I think maybe classes, but we're not racist. Okay, Kiki. Because of something that Alexia said, Gertie brings up, she's like, she felt like the group gave Stephanie more grace because she had the plane and the money and things like that. They gave her more grace than they ever gave Gertie. So she said that was the conversation that she had with Alexia. So, as I said before, Alexia and Stephanie said that they agreed not to rehash the drama on social media, especially because rewatching some of this stuff can, rekindle issues. And look, I can appreciate that. Andy said he appreciated that as well. He wishes that the other cast members like Gertie and Julia had done the same. They have a random question segment. We can skip over that, but I didn't want to skip over this part. When they asked about the threesomes and Martina called out Julia for having a threesome, Adriana wanted to clear the record because when asked like who here has had a threesome, and Julia sort of like raises her hand, Adriana calls Julia like, "Oh, you were lying though about your threesome. Martina's the one who exposed you for having a threesome." She's like, "No, I said I didn't like it." "No, girl, you said you didn't do it. You never said that you didn't like it." She is a liar. And no matter how, look, do I believe that Adriana was holding some of this information over her head and she is behind the scenes trying to orchestrate and pre-produce? All these housewives do that. I do believe that. However, please understand there are certain things that Adriana says that always come to roost. Please remember that. We've seen this over and over again with Adriana. She might tell you a joke, but she ain't going to tell you a lie. Okay? So I found that to be interesting. But we'll get to the Adriana and Julie of it all. For those that are just joining us, we are going backwards as opposed to starting from the beginning. Because for me, the reunion started off so juicy, part 2, and then it's just so like at the end. I'm like, okay, don't nobody care about that. So we do have Kiki's segment, which I thought was interesting. We had a Kiki segment. She reveals that she noticed a pattern with the guys that she dates, and it's clear that maybe she has some daddy issues. Very clear. And apparently she's been celibate since March of 2024. But and apparently her dad wants more kids and he wants her to take care of them. Okay. Didn't you guys find it interesting? Andy, are you watching our recaps? I found it to be interesting because he brought up the group's dynamic and how, a lot of them come from immigrants and because, we talked about it during our recap on, her relatives expecting certain things from her. And he said, that, did you as a group relate to what Kiki was going through, especially as an immigrant and the expectations? And they all were like, yeah, we definitely could relate. But something stood out to me when Kiki was talking about dating. So apparently she's dating this new guy, this guy that Marisol has known for 30 years. He's out there in the Hamptons. She says that, Andy, you probably know him. I was like, oh, I see what's happening here, Kiki. This is why you're falling in line. You're falling in line because being friends with Marisol and Alexia is going to secure your spot on the show. And you guys are having each other's back every which way during this reunion. Even if you pay attention to the edit, there are certain things that are happening and being said that you can't necessarily hear 100% because they're turning people's mics down. And that's something I noticed in part 1. There were moments where I heard Gertie, but you really couldn't hear it clearly. And it was just Gertie, like a lot of that. And you see a lot of that with Kiki too. Kiki just jumping in. She's being a soldier for the bros. And again, this goes back to her doing the whole thing with the cake against Adriana. I thought you guys were all good, but you're telling the bros about what you did. Like you want them, you're bowing, licking boots. Okay, talking about licking. We'll get to that in a second. And there's little things that stood out to me. And yes, Kiki, I know you sent a message to some folks to let me know that I used to be your favorite blogger because what? Because I never held you accountable for something that you did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong in those last couple of seasons. This season, I felt like we're seeing you for who you really are. So you don't like what I'm doing now. Well, I don't like your behavior, but I'm glad you're still watching. So apparently she's dating a guy that Marisol introduced her to. Good luck with that, Kiki. Sidebar. Rest in peace to Diane Keaton. 79 years old. The news just came out maybe like an hour or two ago that Diane Keaton has passed away. I did not see that one coming. They did not reveal the cause of death, but she was only 79 years old. She's had a very long career. Probably the one role that stands out to a lot of people was what was it? Of course, her collaborations with Woody Allen, but also what is it? The First Wives Club with Bette Midler and Goldie Hawn. Love that movie. Endo says next time Kiki runs into Kempire, she's about to tell him he's me. I'm not running into Kiki. Dion says that Kiki's alliance to the bros is strange. Not really. When you think about it, not really. Like you know, some people just want to be the only one. Just saying. Because Andy, this would have been a great opportunity for you to bring Gertie into the conversation as another Haitian woman. Instead of making it a general conversation for the other women that are immigrants, and yes, I'm sure they can relate. I would be like, so, you know, Gertie, like, what are your thoughts on this? Have you had this experience also as a Haitian woman? I'm just, again, he's not thinking that way because, you know. DB says Kiki wants a mojito. All the friend does want a mojito. All the friend does want a mojito. Coco, who's watching on Twitch, says he's not equipped. He's also not interested. There's so many moments in this reunion that I'm just like, sir, if you're not interested, give the job to someone else that will be passionate and ask follow-up questions. Yes, End Up says, rest in peace to Diane. She was a trailblazer for women in film, without a doubt. Dion says, I love Diane Keaton in First Wife. I loved her in that. And there are other little movies that I can't think of their names. They weren't as popular. Oh, there was another movie recently that she did, and she just had she had a way about her when she acted. So if I saw her in something, I'd be like, I would give it a shot because it's her. Kaboom, yeah, and she was in The Godfather as well. Foxy says she was good in The Godfather too. That was also another legendary role for her. DB says that Andy was so annoying. But you could tell production was not on the left side. Okay. Oh, yeah, she was in Father of the Bride. Yes. Patricia says my heart just broke. She's famous for her beautiful skirts. Yeah. Oh, Coco, what is the name of that? The one with Julia Roberts. I loved it. I forgot the name. What was the name of that one, yo? Diane Keaton and Family Stone. Like, there's a lot of movies. I mean, yes, we know her for some of like the most famous ones, but there are a lot of little Diane Keaton movies that I enjoyed. All right, guys, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video. It's an easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but other channels as well. Will start to show up on your Explore page. We're talking about the latest episode of the Real Housewives of Miami. If you are starting at the beginning and you notice that we talked a little bit about Real Housewives of Potomac, my recap for Real Housewives of Potomac will probably be delayed this week because, as you can see, I am traveling and I really want to be able to focus on what we're talking about. Exactly. Pageant Mommy says her IMDb is extensive. Yeah, End Up says The Family Stone is one of my favorite annual holiday movies. Excuse me. It's late here. That's why I'm yawning. So for those that are like, oh, Kempire is tired. And I had a late night last night with all the Wendy of it all. I didn't go to bed till late. And I ended up waking up pretty early. But anyway. Some of your comments in here. Shout out to Lauren, who's watching on X, says, rest in peace to a non-problematic YT fave. Oh, Lord. That was funny. Okay, let's move on because I want to get to the juicy parts because, as I said, I'm getting tired. Okay, we can actually get to the juicy parts. So at the top of the Real Housewives of Miami reunion, Julia reveals that she slept with Adriana in the Hamptons. And apparently she did tell Martina about this. She says she told Martina about this 6 to 8 months ago. Do you believe that? So she told her recently, though. So Martina did not know about this for a long time because the Hamptons was how many years ago? 4 years ago? 3 or 4 years ago? Julia says that Adriana was holding this information over her head. She says that she was not in the best place with Martina. So, of course, production flashes back to Julia talking about her, being in the best place with Martina. They were on Julia's side. Okay. Julia says that Adriana would say that that she's the reason that Julia is on the show. and that she would come up with all these different ideas for Julia's storyline. She came up with the whole opera idea. So we should be mad at you, Adriana, for that damn stuff. Adriana says, when asked by Andy, did she have sex with Julia? She's just like, I can't have sex with her. I don't have a penis. I love how she plays semantics, but according to Adriana, she never even saw Julia's private parts. She said there was no scissoring. We find out later that there was heavy petting. So it was probably like a lot of foreplay. I don't know what could have happened. Or I will say this, explicit for if any kids are in the room, remove them. For Adriana to say that she's never seen Julia's private part says to me that Julia was the top and Julia probably performed something on her, and that was it. And that's why Julia was like, oh, we had sex. Because, I know Bill Clinton probably doesn't think that oral sex is sex, but it is. So I'm thinking that's what happened. But in Adriana's mind, she's like, that's all it was. She was like, heavy petting. That was it. Okay. I do find it interesting, though, later on, Adriana reveals that Julia tried to have another night with her in Spain, which was just a few months ago. That was pretty damning. Yeah, I don't think that was damning. That was damning information. You're still trying to get with me after everything. Okay. So Adriana says that, there was no scissoring or anything like that. Adriana brings up Julia changing her name. I know there's a lot of things that Adriana pulls up and you're like, how does that make sense? So she's like, how many people changed their name? Her name is Julia. And Andrew's was like, it's not much of a difference from Julia to Julia. And she's like, she's an imposter. She's a spy. I did find this part to be interesting. Andy asked Marisol if she believes that Adriana held this over Julia's head. Why is Andy asking Marisol, someone who clearly does not like Adriana? Why not ask someone else in the group, like Stephanie, who doesn't really know all these people? But some might argue, well, he asked her because she's known Adriana the longest. She also clearly does not like Adriana. So that's the last person I'm going to ask. Do you think that Adriana held this over Julia's head? Ask someone else. Ask Kiki. Kiki, let's see what Kiki's got to say. So I thought it was interesting that he went to Marisol for the answer. And this is why I said I felt like production and Andy were all against that side of the group, or at least Adriana and Gertie. Julia says that she could have, the reason why she didn't ask Adriana to be the godmother is because she felt shame in regards to them hooking up. Girl, y'all gonna sit here and believe Julia's lies? So Julia did not ask Adriana to be the godmother because of the guilt that you felt, the shame that you felt. Yet you try to hook up with her again in Spain. Make it make sense to me. You also asked her for these letters of credibility, these letters of support. You asked twice during this process, during when she was holding all of this information over your head. Really? And based off the information that comes out at this reunion, I don't know. Like I believe that they have an open relationship. Though during the reunion, Julia denies that her and Martina have an open relationship. She denies that. So they show the never before seen footage of Adriana basically threatening to reveal some sort of secret. She doesn't say what she's going to reveal. She's like, I know the truth. She's like, it's like, oh, what are you going to do, Adriana? What are you going to do? She's like, I'm going to tell the truth. So Adriana later on backstage is just like, I was never going to tell your secret. I was never, that was not what I was alluding to when I said that. What do you guys believe? Do you think that Adriana is lying there? Do you think that she really was going to reveal the whole lesbian of it all? Part of me, because Adriana is still denying the lesbianness of it all, I think she was going to bring up, what she brings up after this. Adriana reveals that Julia was cheating with a Haitian mortician. And basically, Adriana was paying for the champagne. She was paying for the hotel. And apparently, she brought him a coffee maker. Excuse me? What? See, that's the thing with Adriana. Adriana seems like she's a vault and she has a lot of information and she just holds on to that. Very similar to Marisol. So Adriana says that Julia was cheating with a Haitian mortician, was paying for the hotel, the champagne, and even bought them, I don't know if it's a him or her, coffee maker. She paid for everything. And then after the Haitian mortician, she cheated with a cop. Here's the thing. Did Martina know about the Haitian mortician? Did Martina know about the cop? I'm just asking. Did she? Julia denies being in an open relationship with Martina. She says Martina and even her daughters know. What about the Haitian mortician? When later on, when she's walking with Andy, trying to do damage control with Andy, you know, it's like talking to the principal. They're trying to like, oh, you know, Andy, da 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 da. So she revealed when Andy asked her about the Haitian mortician, she's like TBD, TBD. She's like, but there was no affair. Then what was it? And honestly, I don't care. I don't need to hear about this next season. I really don't care to hear about this next season. Okay. So Julia denies having an open relationship with Martina. Apparently Martina and her daughters know about this, whatever that was. Julia reveals that she fooled around with Adriana in the Hamptons and at the Versace mansion. So that was another thing she revealed to Andy as they were going backstage for lunch. But she says that they had sex in the Hamptons, but they just fooled around at the Versace mansion. So I think they had oral in the Hamptons, meaning Julia did everything to Adriana. I don't think Adriana's bisexual. I'll ask you guys, and the replay crew, let me know. Do you think that Adriana is bisexual? Just asking. I don't think so. I don't think she's bisexual at all. I think she's very much like a lot of heterosexual girls. Like, oh, I'll kiss you. I'll let you service me, and I'll be thinking about Mahdi in Paris. That's about it. Hold on. MK says, I think Adriana might be trisexual. Yamira says they pat the puss. Hey, Nasser, I feel like I haven't seen you forever. Nasser says full service. Okiwa says exactly, Kempire. Danny says she experimented. Yeah, I don't think that, and there would be nothing wrong with that. And literally backstage, Adriana says if that was true and if she was into girls, she would admit it. And I was like, I kind of feel like she would admit it, right? I think she just liked being doted on. I think so, and I think Julia really did like Adriana. I think Julia really did have a crush on Adriana, especially if you guys are pretty much separated. You're not having a great friendship right now this season, and you're in Spain. You're like, spend the night with me. Really? Like, you can't even help but be a scandalous scallywag trollop. You can't help but be you out the country and you already ready to cheat on your wife again, while she's at home taking care of the 2 black babies y'all just adopted. You could not help. You could not wait. You could not wait. Spend the night with me. And you know what happened? Very much like what always happens with the straight girls. She was just like, no, not interested. Not interested. It was fun while it lasted, but not interested. Missy says, we're bringing back Trollop. Yep. Trollop Scallywag. Julia. All right. Mods, can you let me know how many likes we have? Guys, if you haven't liked the video already, be sure to like the video. If you're listening to the audio version of this, don't forget to subscribe to the Kempire podcast. And while you're there, don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. I also dropped a new episode for Club Kempire, where I talk a little bit about my trip to Ireland and some of my trip here in Amsterdam. I actually ran into a subscriber here in Amsterdam. I saw someone DM me in it. I didn't know, like, I know we have a handful of people in here. I would have did like a meetup, but it might be too late to do a meetup at this particular point. PSM says, I need the Haitian mortician to come forward with his story. I mean, is the I don't want to assume, but is the Haitian mortician not involved in a relationship? Just asking. A. Schneider says, not a trollop scallywag. I just like saying it. Savannah says, I would be so embarrassed if I was Martina and her kids. My thing is, though, this has been a pattern of behavior from Julia for a while now. So, and I've been telling you, I feel like Martina just lets her do whatever. I don't know why. I just assume maybe they had an open relationship. There are a lot of gay couples and lesbians that are in, well, not lesbians a lot. You don't see that a lot with lesbians. But look, there are a lot of people, not just in part of the community, but other people that have open relationships. Nashua says, Julia's for the streets. Passion Bobby says, no, thank you, because that would mean another season for Julia. Pass. I think Julia might come back, y'all. Just the way that this reunion is ending, I think she might come back. You have to bring back Adriana. Adriana is so Miami, and she's so connected. Even with them disliking her, she's so connected to this cast. I did hear something about casting for Real Housewives of Miami, and apparently there are some changes coming, y'all. I'm not going to get into, I don't have specifics, well, names, but I do know a number. The sources were sourcing this weekend, y'all, because Lord. PSM says that another YouTuber is saying that Martina might divorce Julia. There's again, I'm very wary of what we see on social media lately, because there's a lot of fake news that, especially on Facebook, of like these stories like, oh, so I'm very wary of reporting on stuff that I haven't heard from like a solid source, a credible source. But I honestly would not want them to divorce, especially with them just adopting these two boys. It's just like, okay, now what? Like these boys don't need this in their lives. But okay. This might not even look good. Julia revealing all this stuff and being on a reality show. Aren't they still under like the review of the social worker for a bit? I don't know. Kaboom says Martina put up with a lot of questionable behavior. She really has. It makes me wonder why. PSM says, I can't believe I actually feel bad for Martina. I don't feel bad for Martina. Martina, she has no empathy for a lot of people. MK, thank you so much for the super chat. MK says, I wonder if the Haitian mortician is the black man Larsa said Julia was kissing 2-3 seasons ago. I was saying the same thing. We were just saying that. That's why I automatically thought the Haitian mortician was a man, but we don't know if it's a man or not. Right? Irene says, assuming it was a legit adoption agency, cough. I think it was, because didn't they do a little charity thing on the show for the adoption agency? So Dion says they probably letting Gertie go. Based off this reunion, it wouldn't shock me. Based off this reunion, it would not shock me, especially because, like I said, Adriana, I definitely think would come back because she's still so ingrained in this group. Gertie is not ingrained in this group. Gertie is not ingrained in this group. And yes, some might say that she has a friendship with Lisa and a friendship with Adriana. I think that's more of an alliance than an actual friendship. You saw how Gertie was not even listening to Adriana when she was really trying to help her during part 1. We shall see. I feel like all of them make this show the show that it is. I definitely think that Marisol is the cancer of the group. And this is coming from someone that enjoys Marisol's commentary and, things over the years. But I do feel like she's going to ruin the show and ruin the group dynamic. Please understand, if Marisol goes, I think you'll see a change. You'll see a change in this group. But that's my opinion. And Marisol desperately wants to be a part of the show. She desperately wants to be a part of the show. Okay. MC says, get rid of Marisol, Julia, and Kiki. I wouldn't be mad to see Kiki go either. If I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't be mad. But that's me. All right. Let's move on because we still have more to talk about when it comes to the Real Housewives of Miami Season 7 Reunion Part 2. Okay, so they go backstage. Julia says that Adriana was holding this information over her head for years. Sidebar, did you guys see when Julia revealed this information? Again, I feel like that side of the right side of the chairs all came together, have each other's back. You saw how they kept making excuses. Larsa's like, stop making jokes about this. Listen to her. I was just like, really? And for me, it's so interesting to see Larsa's stance when it comes to Julia, because you were the one talking about Julia kissing some black man. But they all, even Alexia was chiming in. We talked about this in part 1, chiming in when not necessary. I was like, let Julia speak. Let Julia defend herself. You guys can't speak to Julia and Adriana's friendship. So they go backstage, and Julia says that Adriana's been holding this over her head for 4 years. Okay. Then you start seeing in separate scenes with Adriana and the other ladies, and Julia with Marisol and Kiki, asking like, so what happened? Did you eat her out? So they're asking specific questions like what went down between Adriana and Julia. Julia's like, I don't want to get into the details. I still, respect Adriana. I don't want to get into details. I think I know what happened. Like I said, I feel like in the Hamptons, Julia was the top. Adriana did nothing to Julia. Maybe they kissed. That's about it. I think Julia went down on Adriana. That was it. I think at the Versace, they probably kissed. Maybe she fondled the breast. That was it. But I think that Adriana just laid there like a pillow princess and just let Julia do all the work. Adriana wanted to point out, because when they come back, Adriana gives the history in regards to how they first met. When they first met, Adriana received a compliment from Julia, like, oh my God, you have beautiful breasts. And she invited her to the bathroom. And then Adriana showed her breasts, and then Julia showed her booty. Let's go backstage. So the ladies are asking all kinds of questions about what happened. Did she do this? And they both do not want to say anything. Adriana denies anything sexual with Julia. Larsa says that it's easy to slip and fall when you're not in a good place. And then she turns to her young 30-something-year-old boyfriend, and she's like, I will never slip and fall. But what I can appreciate about Stephanie, she's like, I believe that Julia did this. She's a nymph. Adriana then decides to go to Julia's dressing room. She's like, what are you guys doing here? Rehearsing your lines? Rehearsing like that? No, we're not rehearsing our lines. She's like, and then Adriana's just like, I was going to keep your secret for you forever. Julia claims backstage that Adriana said that if she ever defended Marisol or Kiki, did y'all notice that part? If she ever defended Marisol or Kiki, that she would take Julia down with her. I believe Adriana did say these things. I do believe that. She said some of these things. But I also believe that the other women are doing the same stuff. Julia, you could still have your own mind, but it feels like you went from one master to another one. It doesn't feel like you're independent. But again, you're not that good on the show, so I could care less about what's going on with you. But okay, I think that's the only way that you can survive on the show, is being the servant to one of your masters here. Foxy says that Adriana can be very jealous. I mean, wouldn't you also be a little jealous if this woman is laying it low and spreading it wide? Wouldn't you be a little jealous? Especially even if you don't see Julia in that way, but she treats you. Have you ever had that situation where someone you don't necessarily like, but they treat you like a god, and all of a sudden they stop treating you like that god, so you start getting upset? So I could see Adriana getting upset with now, like, oh, you used to worship that ground I walk on. You proposed to me. I'm laying it low and spreading it wide for you. I'm just saying. Missy says, "Have you had that experience, Kent? What, a lesbian experience? No." Savannah says, "Adriana has always been like this. She's very spicy." And Good Girl says, "Julia is a married freak." Yeah, but it seems like Martina might let her be that way. There is also the other element. Martina just had two cancers. She went through chemotherapy. I'm sure that affected her sex drive, but instead of them talking about that, they're talking about everything else. So I wouldn't be surprised that maybe Martina's just like, you can go have fun and do whatever you want, because I'm not feeling up to it. Keith says, but Julia is married. Adriana knew what the deal was when she opened her. Tanya says, get low, get low, get low, get low. Okay. All right. Before I continue, I am going to drop the call-in link for our members. It's not one of the perks, but we make it a part of the perks. And I will drop the call-in link for the general audience mods. So let me know how many likes we should get to before I drop the call-in link for the general audience. This is a special recap. Normally we recap this on Fridays, but as you can see, I am away still. And I don't know when I will be recapping Orange County. I could end up recapping it next week do like a twofer. Because I don't know if I'll have the time. All right. So I dropped the call-in link. I just dropped the call link to the public. Let me delete. Let me do this. All right. So I dropped the call-in link for members on the post tab. And excuse me. Dion says we need to hear Scissoring. Now you can really start singing my song, Scissoring. Okay. The weather here is like 50, 60. Well, like during the day it's in the 60s. And the way Amsterdam is, you can get, like, I had sun in the morning, then all of a sudden it's like clouds. But I figured I've been here multiple times during this time of the year, so yeah, that is what. And then Ireland was the same way. Savannah says Scissoring season 7. Jen says got to get it on the soundboard. Scissoring, gonna be scissoring. And look, I believe okay. Adriana says they weren't scissoring, and if you don't know what scissoring is, Google schmoogle it. I don't believe they were scissoring. I believe Adriana was a pillow princess, and she was like, "Do me and do me well." And don't expect anything from me. And Julia was just like, yeah, I'll happily. And whatever's going on down there for Adriana must be something magical because she wanted some more of it in Spain. Okay. Oh, Archie says, Amsterdam. Yeah, my husband studied at Leiden's University for a semester. Our son's name is Leiden. Oh, he must have really liked it. All right. No, I really do enjoy Amsterdam. I almost walked back from the city center to my hotel, but I was like, oh no, let me just get on the metro. Because I also didn't want to be tired by the time I got here. I'm already tired now. Can you imagine if I ended up walking like 30 minutes here? It's okay. If you haven't already, guys, be sure to like the video. Mods, I may have missed, not the Pillow Queen. No, Pillow Princess. Hey. Mods, how many likes do we have so far? All right. And if you're a member of the channel, I've already dropped the call link on the community tab, post tab, whatever you want to call it, whatever they're calling it now. We're talking about the Real Housewives of Miami reunion. So they're backstage. They get into this argument. Adriana is unhinged. But look, Adriana carried this reunion. She was the MVP of the reunion. No matter how he felt like she was wrong or right, it was all about Adriana. And if we're going to break up the rules of how Miami is handled when it comes to the friendos, you should have put Adriana right next to Andy Cohen. You should have put her right there next to Andy Cohen, because she carried this reunion for me. She was the most interesting part. She had the most valid reasons. She had the Haitian mortician tea. Apparently, Julia was also doing a cop. She got a coffee maker for the Haitian mortician. Apparently, the Haitian mortician was being kept. Was a kept mortician because she was paying for everything. But if she was paying for everything, was Martina paying for everything? Because what exactly does Julia do before she was on Real Housewives? Okay. All right. So in part two, Adriana says she talks about the first time that she met Julia, and that's when she showed Julia her breast and Julia showed her her booty, whatever. Adriana says that in the Hamptons, it was just heavy petting because Andy wants to clear up what exactly happened between you two. Andy also pointed out before the reunion started, both of them expressed that they wanted to make resolve here. But it seems like Adriana, after what Julia exposed, she does not want to resolve anything with her. Okay. So Adriana says in the Hamptons there was heavy petting, but she never saw Julia's private parts. So I already told you what happened. Adriana asked Julia if she would ever leave Martina for her. So this is what Julia is saying, that Adriana asked her this. Do you believe that? I believe it. These housewives, they're only thinking of the show. They're only thinking of housewives. But do you think that's interesting? That would have been an interesting storyline, but I don't think that Julia would give up money in the lifestyle, because let's be honest, Adriana, she knows she's pinching the penny, to make money. So I don't think that she would. But according to Julia, she said that's when she was sort of like clicking, like, is Adriana just friends with me for a storyline? So, because I think Julia really is in love with Adriana. So she was sort of like, yeah, that's when she was sort of, that's where it made a turn for her. When Adriana apparently allegedly asked, would you leave Martina for me? Okay. She's like, what a storyline that would make. That would be a storyline. But again, I don't think realistically that Julia would leave Martina in that check. Okay. Because let's be honest, the only reason why they were able to adopt those boys was because of Martina. I don't know what money Julia has. Yes, now she has this Bravo check, but that's not a consistent check. She could be here today, gone tomorrow. Let's be honest, Martina has the money. So she probably would not be able to adopt those boys without Martina. All right. And Martina, for anyone that's hearing rumors about them getting a divorce, I don't see Martina divorcing her now, because now you're gonna have to pay her probably spousal support and child support for the two kids. I don't know how it's handled in Florida, but Lord. So Julia questioned Adriana's intentions. Excuse me, y'all. It's late here. It's almost 1 a.m. here in Amsterdam. That's why I'm yawning. It's almost my bedtime. So callers, you're going to have to be brief because I cannot be here much longer. So this is where Adriana reveals that in Spain, Julia asked her to spend the night with her. And she was like, no, I'm not doing that. She then gifts Julia a heart in the box, because she says that, her heart was broken after all of this. So she heard her antics, and you hear Marisol like, oh, here comes the court jester. But this is what we love about Adriana. This is what we love about Real Housewives reunions: the antics, the little theatrics, the little props, and things like that. So yeah, so that pretty much ends their story. For those that are just joining us, we started from the end and went to the beginning because that's the juiciest part of the Real Housewives of Miami season 7 reunion part 2. If you're part of the replay crew, be sure to let us know your thoughts and opinions and your ratings of the Miami reunion. Let's get to the callers. Keep in mind the opinions of the callers do not represent the opinions of myself, the Kempire LLC, or our sponsors, and everything that they say is alleged. Okay. Please short and shady, because like I said, it's almost 1 a.m. and I'd like to get through all the callers by 1 a.m. and be out of here. If we don't, blame the person before you that was running too long. because I'm gonna actually not take all the callers tonight. Okay. All right, Mods. How many likes have we gotten? Patricia, I talked about the heart in the box. That's why I said Marisol. On sidebar, I did talk about the heart in the box, but it wasn't that important, even if I didn't talk about it. Just saying. All right, Alexia's backstage. We're gonna bring Alexia up next. Alexia, what did you want to share about the Miami reunion? You're muted, Alexia.
Hi, Kempire. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you. I will be really brief because I know like it's really late. We are in the same time zone, so I know I'm tired as well. But anyway, I don't know if you remember last week I told you like what are we going to talk about like Marisol and her fake marriage. We didn't talk about that. We talk about like stupid stuff like Larsa and Liz. I mean, we talk about stupid stuff, and the most important part, the Adriana's part, is like 10 minutes. She's carrying the show. She's literally carrying the show. She should have a mojito. And
Mhm.
like as you said, Marisol is the cancer of the group. She should be gone. She really should be gone. And I don't know. Am I feeling the same? Like also like Larsa and Stephanie's friendship is it looks so fake. I don't know. I feel like something is something is fishy over there. You know, like there's a lot of more things more interesting that we can talk about, and we are like wasting all the time talking about crap that literally no one cares about. And probably part three we will talk about I don't know like something like Larsa and the new boyfriend. I mean, next year she will bring a new boyfriend anyway. I mean, we don't care. But okay, I will as brief as I could. So thank you, Kempire. Thank you for your time and good night.
Have a good night, Alessia. Thanks for calling in. All right, Tours of the Tea is backstage. Tours of the Tea, what did you want to share?
Hey Cam, I wanted to say that Julia looks absolutely ridiculous. Even if you tell your wife that you have been cheating on her because you guys went through a rough patch in your marriage, that should not exonerate you from being an infidel. And she is a habitual infidel. And her going on TV and just saying it, there was even a part where she said that Martina told her, "Why is it that you want to say it on TV now?" And she said, "Oh, because I want to be set free." You are setting yourself up, because I definitely agree that this may be a bad look, especially for them just now adopting young boys as a couple. And I really appreciate Adriana standing her ground. She is definitely funny. And I also like Stephanie telling Larsa behind the scenes that she doesn't believe Julia, because I don't think more than half of them actually believe Julia. I think it's just all about an alliance.
Yeah.
Have a nice night, Camp.
Thanks, Tours of the Tea. All right. Foxy told me that we're almost at 300 likes, but we have over 1,100 of you watching on multiple platforms. We're live on Facebook, we're live on Twitch, we're live on X, and we're live on YouTube. So keep liking the video if you haven't already. Let's bring up Elijah next. Elijah, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire.
Hey.
I wanted to share a couple things. First, a little, it's kind of related, but basically, Ashley needs to stop because her singing is a crime. So she needs to chill with that because I cannot stand that woman. She is making it a joke, and it's like you should be arrested for all that mess that you'll be doing on that stage. But anyway, they're so fake. But anyway, that's beyond the point. What I was gonna say about this whole situation with Julia and Adriana, in my personal opinion, I think that Julia is. I think there's certain aspects of her story that may be true. Like for example, Adriana may be self-producing or whatever. Like okay, I give her that. Now to say she was being abused, she's to me, she's making a mockery of people that actually go through abusive friendships and relationships. Because you're saying that this woman is abusing you. That's a very strong accusation. Number one. Number two, it's like she thinks that bringing out this information about her and Adriana makes Adriana look bad when you're cheating on your wife. You know what I mean? We know you don't really like her, but damn, you didn't have to say it like that. You know what I mean? So it's like to me, I just feel like you're making yourself look worse. And to me, the alliances on the show is so apparent. And so to me, I think that the solution, because you don't want this to turn into another Jersey, it's really weird the way the other couch is moving. To me, I think that they should really let go Julia and Marisol. I think Marisol is like the core of the issue because the other ones, they're not up here in the head. I don't think they have the brains that Marisol has. You know what I'm saying? So it's like she uses who she can, and I think that's why she needs to go. And Julia needs to, she really needs to go because the lies are crazy. You can tell that she's lying. And I'm glad that Adriana called her out. I think Adriana did what needed to be done. She did what Gertie should have done. I think she handled herself a bit better, you know? But yeah.
Definitely. Thanks, Elijah. All right, we have Amy backstage. We're gonna bring Amy up next. Amy, what did you want to share?
Oh my God, Julia. She lied about her name.
Uh-uh.
It did. And then she was kissing and patting her friend. I am so disappointed in Julia. Why is she so skanky? I really felt like, to a certain extent, I believed her pity story every time. She was like, I just want to be everyone's friend. I want everyone to get along. And no, I think this girl is very calculated. I think she uses people like Adriana has said, and it's apparent something is not well with her. And I am worried about those boys. Okay, good night.
Oh, thanks, Amy. Bye. As he says, I don't think you can tell someone else whether or not they were abused if that's how they felt. I think I agree, SE. I think what people are noticing though with Julia, especially recently, is that she inflates people's behavior when it's like with the Gertie of it all, how she inflated the language that she used and how she inflated it. And when we looked at it, we were like, that's not what happened. So I think that's what people are feeling. Cynthia's backstage. We're gonna bring Cynthia up next. Cynthia, what did you want to share about Real Housewives of Miami?
Hi, Kempire. How you doing?
I'm doing
Thank
well.
you for your commentary on your vacation. I'll make this real brief. I think that Julia's performance during the reunion is just to solidify her spot for next season. I think that she might get what she wished for or asked or she's asking for, whatever.
Okay.
I don't want her to come back though, but I think she will come back. And that's it, Kempire.
Thanks, Cynthia. Take care. All right, we've got Mimi backstage. We're gonna bring Mimi up next. Mimi, oh, hold on. There we go.
Hi, Kempire.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. So I'm gonna keep it short. I think the reason why Martina hated Julia's farm so much is because she was using the money from selling those eggs to buy the coffee makers for the Haitian mortician. And as a Haitian, I believe the story of Julia and the Haitian mortician only because as a kid, I saw so many women, like grown women, sponsoring the lives of Haitian men. They do not give it out if you're not, putting some money on the table. So that's just what I have to say.
So what you're saying is that Kiki's dad needs to watch out, or Kiki needs to watch out for her dad.
She needs to watch out. She needs to watch out.
OMG. Thanks, Mimi.
Bye.
Bye. Damn. I mean, Haitian men are very much like Caribbean men too. I think they're all the same. Arjun's backstage. We bring Arjun up next. Arjun, what do you want to share?
Hello, Kempire. I just want to say, I thought Julia thought she was gonna eat at the reunion, but she got ate out by Adriana. And also, regarding Dr. Wendy, do you think they're gonna show her house scenes in the Real House of Potomac now? Because you know how you were saying yesterday, like the show that was supposed to come up and they took her off.
Yeah.
Probably. Do you think they're gonna show her?
I think they're going through the footage.
Okay. Also, in Amsterdam.
Her storyline though is about her doing.
Yeah,
that.
I was thinking that because of the tiles, I think there's something going on. But also, are you in Amsterdam?
Yes.
Can I give you some suggestions if you want?
Sure.
There's a rooftop bar called Luminaire, really good. That sunset, really good. And there's a famous place called Chun. They have quite a few franchises around the city. They do really good sandwiches. I think they're called Sandoz sandwiches. I think they're Japanese, I think. But they're really good in Amsterdam. Try that. And if you want to try any vegan food, there's a vegan place called Vegan Food Kempire. It's really, really good in Amsterdam. Okay. Yeah, I love Amsterdam. You should have come a month later. I would have met you in Amsterdam.
Well, next time. I come to Amsterdam often.
Bye.
Thanks, Arjun. All right. Let's bring up Ellie next. Ellie, what did you want to share about Real Housewives of Miami?
Oh my gosh, Kempire. To think that I never thought that I would be hearing you say live fondling of the breasts. I was laughing. Oh my God. I was like, what did Kempire just say? Oh gosh. I had to pull over just to call in. And my sisters are listening, so I know they're going to be like, girl, you're supposed to be here already. But I had to call in. And then really quickly, can we just talk a tiny bit about Larsa's face? I keep thinking about seasons ago when Marisol was crying about how her mother did a lot of work and that she, in her words, ruined her beautiful face. And in my head, I'm like, Larsa, are your kids telling you? Like, they look at you, you don't look the same. And she just looked like she was in so much pain. Oh, Lars. Anyway,
that was after that
reunion was.
She did an interview and she had looked really swollen after it, and that literally was the same week that she did the reunion. So I'm not surprised.
Okay, that makes so much sense because I was like Larsa. I'd never really paid attention. Honestly, I obviously see that the work is getting done, but it really wasn't that prominent until this reunion. I was like, oh my god, Larsa. um. So anyway, the reunion itself pretty bomb. Adriana is carrying it. Just I have a new vocal stim and I'm just constantly saying Haitian mortician all day, just to anybody who'll listen. Haitian mortician, and also you to randomly. I think I even told my sister. I called her and was like, "You're just jealous," or what did she say? Oh, you don't miss our friendship. I just. I'm all over it. Anyway, that's it. Can't wait to see you in Texas. All four of my sisters will be there. Let's go, Kempire.
What? Okay, what part of Texas?
Austin.
Okay.
But we'll drive to Houston. We'll drive to
I'm about to
Dallas.
say, I'm,
That's
like, I'm
a,
not coming to Austin. I remember last time the Housewives went to Austin.
oh yeah. We can take you to chicken shit bingo.
No. Thanks,
Well,
Ellie.
I can't wait to see you. Bye.
I do want to come to Texas and do a live show. Cardillon, is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, that's how you
Hey,
pronounce it. I'm a first time caller. Um,
hey, Cardillon.
I was just wondering, right? I feel like they're trying to prove a point by making Adriana in the first half of the reunion talking about that whole situation when everything with Adriana happened at the end because she's a friend of. I feel like they're trying to low key put her in her place because I don't know what there's left to talk about in part three. Like, I have no idea. It's kind of gonna be boring, but Adriana carried and I loved her this season. And second of all, there will be no Julia without Adriana. And that's
Mm,
all I have to say.
okay, Cardillon, thank you so
Enjoy
much.
Amsterdam.
Have a good night. All right. We're going to bring up Chrissy next. But before we do that, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video. Got to remind you. Also, don't forget, we have new merch available at houseofkempire.com. Links are available in the description. Make sure you also subscribe to the Kempire podcast. And don't forget to also thank our mods for holding us down in the live chat and in the comment section. Replay crew, be sure to let me know your thoughts on the Real Housewives of Miami reunion part 2. I agree with Carlin. I'm sort of like, what is part 3 going to be about? Because you saw how the reunion sort of was like juicy at the very beginning, and we had to start from the end and go to the beginning because the beginning was more interesting than the end. Clearly, they're going to start off next week talking about what Larsa said about Lisa's dad, and I'm just sort of like, okay. So I feel like we'll see. Okay. Wait, Kaboom. Wait, Adriana's a Scorpio? When is Adriana's birthday? I don't know what Adriana's birthday is. Chrissy, what did you want to share?
Hey, Kempire. So I
Hey.
wanted to discuss, okay, Martina and Julia's relationship. I kind of feel like there's something going on, like just like Karen and Ray's marriage was. Like,
Mm,
Karen got the okay to step out on Ray, but I
mm,
feel like what Julia was doing was that she was not letting Martina know about all of the other people she was messing with. Okay. And I
mm,
don't know. I'm not talking about all lesbian relationships, but I do know maybe Martina would not be okay with her being with another man. Maybe she wouldn't have cared of her being with a woman, but maybe a man is an issue. I
mm,
don't know. But I don't believe Julia saying that she did tell Martina. I don't know if something is telling me she's lying about it. But if she's willing to put her marriage on the chopping block just to stay on the show, that just lets you know how she feels about Martina. Because I would feel like I wouldn't release that information if you know that would hurt Martina, the person you love, supposedly.
yeah.
And on top of that, in regards to, okay, Adriana had me dying when she was saying sweet pea, that sweet, when she was talking about her sweet pea.
Oh,
That had me dying laughing. And I do feel like what's her name? Kiki could just drop her dad. I'm Haitian too, and I just feel like everybody, just like you said, a lot of island people are the same. Doesn't matter what island you're from. And I
mhm,
just feel like there's a lot of opportunistic people. Even your own family could be
mhm,
opportunistic and use you. And I feel like that's the case for Kiki. I feel like, your father has not changed. He has not apologized to you. He allowed you to get kicked out. Just let that situation go. If you want to probably talk to him here and there, talk to him here and there. You're an adult now. You have your mother. Like sometimes you just gotta cut out the cancer. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah. Thanks, Chrissy, for calling in. All right. Based off of Adriana's birth date, November 26th, she is a Sagittarius. She is a Sagittarius. Jurgen, thank you so much for the super chat. Yeah, the super chat. Thank you so much, Jurgen, for the super chat. We appreciate your support. Wait, I got a shimmy. I got a shimmy for that super chat. That was 23 euros. 23.99 euros, right? That was euros? I am in Europe, so. All right. Oh, Jordan says, I live in Amsterdam. Let's grab a drink tomorrow, Kempire, if you're not too busy. We'll see. A few people in Amsterdam want to meet up tomorrow. But we'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. Make sure you stay locked to our community tab. If I can. Again, I have a lot to do in the next couple of days. And I will be coming back to New York soon. So then there's that. But I appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you for the cash outs, the Venmos, the shares, the likes. Thank you to our King Scars. Thank you to our subscribers. Thank you to our members. We appreciate you guys as well. And what else did I want to say? Oh, yeah. Don't forget to listen to the podcast version of all of this. Not meet at coffee shop. That is one thing we will not be doing, Archie. I don't smoke. Pageant mommy, she's shimmying at 1 a.m. in Amsterdam, right? Let me go to the red light district. Shimmying. Imagine, I'm going to bed. I do feel for a snack. I have a little chocolate? I'll have a little chocolate. Care Bear says, come back to America. Do I really want to? America's ghetto right now. Daphne says, I also think that Martina could divorce Julia because of infidelity and emotional distress. She may have to pay child support, but maybe not alimony. Probably. Thank you so much, Yamira, for the super sticker. We appreciate the support. You got me shimmying at 1 a.m. in Amsterdam. All right. Thank you guys so much for all of the super chats and for being a part of the conversation. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. For those of you that are on the East Coast, West Coast, we appreciate you. As you can see, I am tired. All right. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you all in the next one. Bye, y'all.
Here we go now.